Okay, good morning, students. So, today we are going to start a new lesson. The name of the lesson is In the Kingdom of Fools, and this lesson is taken from your supplementary textbook, that is the Mormons. Okay? Yes. So, today we are going to read the story. Now, before we go through the story, it is important for you to read the introduction part. Okay? Yes. So, I'm going to read this. It is believed that fools are so dangerous that only wise people can manage them. Who are the fools in this story? What happens to them? Okay, now if you go through this question and the discussion topics, you will get some idea about the story that we are going to read. Okay, so just by reading these few lines, you got some idea that this is about some fool, and finally the wise people can manage them, and what are the fools doing in this story. Now you get so many ideas about the story. You got it? So that's why it's important for you to read the introduction. We have already done this in the other textbook, that is Beehive, isn't it? Whenever there is a new lesson, there is one section called Before You Read. Okay, so this is somewhat like that section before you read. Okay, yes. So let us try to go through this story. Okay, yes. Okay, I'm going to read this. You can also read along with me. In the kingdom of fools, both the king and the minister were idiots. They didn't want to run things like other kings, so they decided to change night into day and day into night. They ordered that everyone should be awake at night, till their fields and run their businesses only after dark, and go to bed as soon as the sun came up. Everyone who disobeyed would be punished with death. The people did as they were told for fear of death. The king and the minister were delighted at the success of their project. You see, so this is about the kingdom of fools. Okay, both the king and the minister, they were idiots, they were foolish. So anything can happen if you live under, what should I say, the king and minister who were fool. Okay, now let us see what they did. Okay, so they did not want to run the what should I say, kingdom like other kings. So what did they do? They decided to change the night into day and day into night. You got it? Okay, and not only that, they ordered everyone to be awake at night. So normally during night time we all go to sleep, but the king ordered people to stay awake at night. They till they feel work on the field, and they run their businesses only after dark. And as soon as they came up, they were told to go to bed. So that is the opposite. You got it? So such thing can happen in the kingdom where the ruler is a foolish. You got it? So everyone who disobeyed would be punished with death. So whoever did not obey this will be put to death. So the people, they did whatever they were told because they were afraid of death, for the fear of death. And the king and the minister, they were very delighted. They were happy at the success of their project. You got it? Okay, so such was the kingdom. Now let us go further, okay? One day, a guru and his disciple arrived in the city. It was a beautiful city. It was broad daylight, but there was no one about. Everyone was asleep, not a mouse stirring. Even the cattle had been taught to sleep by day. The two strangers were amazed by what they saw around them, and wandered around the town till evening, when suddenly the whole town woke up and went about its nightly business. You got it? Okay, so one day what happened? A guru and his disciple, guru, okay, a teacher and his student, they arrived in the city. The city was very beautiful, and it was also broad daylight. Lots and lots of life happened during broad daylight, isn't it? But there was no one about. Everyone was asleep. You remember the king told them to sleep. Not even mouse stirring. Even the mouse stopped stirring, moving, okay? And the cattle had also been taught to sleep by day. You got it? So whole town was sleeping. The two strangers were amazed. Even you will be amazed if you come across such place. Okay, yes. And what happened? They wandered around the town. They just wandered around the town till evening. And evening, you know what happens? When suddenly the whole town woke up. When all the people, they go to bed in the evening, the whole town woke up and they went about nightly businesses. So the business started only in the evening. You got it? Okay, yes. So let us go ahead. The two men were hungry. Now that the shops were open, they went to buy some grocery. To their astonishment, they found that everything cost the same, a single doodoo. Whether they bought a measure of rice or a bunch of bananas, it cost a doodoo. The Guru and his disciple were delighted. They had never heard of anything like this. They could buy all the food they wanted for a rupee. You got it? So, you know, the Guru and the disciple, they went up and down, okay, till evening. So, they were hungry. Okay, now the shops were open. They went to buy some grocery, you know, all the food materials. So, to their astonishment, surprise, astonishment means surprise, they found that everything cost the same, a single doodoo. So, you can buy anything, okay, for just a single doodoo. So, doodoo is just a currency, very small currency, you know. So, normally, each and every item has got different prices, isn't it? For example, a measure of rice and a bunch of banana, they will not cost the same amount. But here in the kingdom, it was all same. It cost a doodoo. So the guru and disciple were very delighted. They were very happy. If you get things for a very few price, you would be very happy. So they were delighted, and because they had never heard anything like this, so they could buy all the food they wanted just for a rupee. So they can buy so many. So they were very happy. Now let us see. Okay. When they cooked and eaten, the Guru realized that this was a kingdom of fools and it would not be a good idea for them to stay there. This is no place for us. Let us go, he said to his disciple. But the disciple did not want to leave the place. Everything was cheap here. All he wanted was good, cheap food. You got it? Okay, yes. Now, after they had cooked and eaten, okay, the guru realized, you know, the teacher, he realized that it was the kingdom of fools. Okay, yes. And it would not be a good idea for them to stay there. Okay, for one day it's okay, but now it was not a good idea to stay there for so long time because anything could happen. So what did he say? This is no place for us. Let us go, he said to his disciple. The teacher told his student. But the student, he did not want to leave the place. He enjoyed this place. Why? Because everything was very cheap here. Okay? Yes. All he wanted was good, cheap food. So the student only wanted good, cheap food. So he did not listen to his teacher. You got it? Okay. And finally, the guru said, what did the guru say? They are all fools. This won't last very long, and you can't tell what they will do to you next. So the guru, he was virtually awakened. He knew so many things much better than the student. So he said that this would not last long, and anything could happen to the student, isn't it? Oh, but the disciple would not listen to Guru's wisdom. He wanted to stay. The Guru finally gave up and said, do what you want, I'm going, and left. The disciple stayed on, ate his fill every day, bananas and ghee and rice and wheat, and finally grew fat like a street side sacred bull. You got it? So, since the disciple was not listening, what did Guru say? Guru said, okay, he just gave up, okay? And then said, do what you want. I am going. And the guru left, leaving behind the student, because the student was not ready to leave the town. He was very happy because he get food for very cheap price. So the disabled stayed on. He ate his fill every day, banana and all these things. And because of too much eating, he became fat. He became very fat, just like the bull. You have seen the bull, very strong, very huge. Okay, so he became like a bull. You got it? Okay, yes. Now the guru had already left. Now let us see what happens. One bright day, a thief broke into a rich merchant's house. He made a hole in the wall and sneaked in. And as he was carrying out his loot, the wall of the old house collapsed on his head and killed him on the spot. His brother ran to the king and complained, "Your Highness, when my brother was pursuing his ancient trade, a wall fell on him and killed him. This merchant is to blame. He should have built a good, strong wall. You must punish the wrongdoer and compensate the family for this injustice." You got it? Okay, so such thing happened in a kingdom of food. So what happened? One bright day, a thief broke into rich merchant's house. Broke into means he just get into. He made a small hole in the wall and he just sneaked in. Sneak in means get into. Okay, yes. And while he was carrying out his loot, now he had carried so many things. Okay, and the wall of the old house, that house, the wall may be very weak. Okay, the collapse fall down and on his head, and it killed him on the spot. Okay, so the thief died. So his brother ran to the king. His brother went to the king, and the king is a foolish and complained, "Your Highness, when my brother was pursuing," so pursuing means to continue. Okay, you pursue your father's trade. So when he was doing his ancient trade, so ancient trade here means the act of theft, stealing. Okay, yes. So a wall fell on him and killed him. Now, do you think such thing happen? Normally, if somebody was a thief and he somehow, what should I say, got killed, then nothing should be done, isn't it? But the brother, he knew that the king was foolish, so he just complained. And he just blamed the merchant. You see, the merchant is to be blamed. Why? Because he should have built a good, strong wall. Okay? So, what did the brother tell the king? The brother told the king to punish the wrongdoer. So, according to him, it was not the thief, but the merchant who was the wrongdoer. So he told the king to punish the wrongdoer and compensate, okay, to which will compensate the family for this injustice. So you see, this is considered as a injustice. Actually, the thief died due to accident, isn't it? So he said that it was just an injustice. So let us see what the king said. The king said, "Justice will be done, don't worry," and at once summoned the owner of the house. So king was foolish. Okay, yes. So what did he say? He said, "Okay, don't worry, justice will be done." So he did not see what the condition was. So he just summoned the owner of the house. So summon means he called the owner of the house. Who was the owner of the house? The rich merchant. Okay, yes. So let us continue. Mm, okay. Now, when the merchant arrived, the king questioned him, "What is your name?" "Such and such, your highness." "Were you at home when the dead man burgled your house?" "Yes, my lord. He broke in and the wall was weak. It fell on him." The accused pleads guilty. "Your wall killed this man's brother. You have murdered a man. We have to punish you." Okay, yes. So when the merchant arrived, the king asked whether he was there when the dead man burgled his house, and he said that yes. Okay, yes. So the king said that you were guilty because your wall had killed this man's brother. Who was this man's brother? The thief. Okay, so that means you have murdered a man. So that was what the king said. So the king decided to punish him. Okay, so let us see what did the merchant say. Lord, said the helpless merchant, I didn't put up the wall. It is really the fault of the man who built the wall. He did not build it right. You should punish him. Okay, yes. So the merchant say, Lord, okay, what should I say? I did not put up the wall. He said that he did not put, yes, obviously, okay, yes. So if it was a fault, it was the fault of the man who built the wall. Okay, now who used to build the wall? The man. Okay, the man who built the wall, he was to be punished because he had not built the wall strong and good. That's why, what should I say, the man got killed. So you should punish him. So that was what the merchant said. Okay, yes. And now the king, okay, once again, let us see what the king said. Who is that? My lord, this wall was built in my father's time. I know the man. He is an old man now. He lives nearby. Okay, yes. And then the king said, who was that? And the merchant said that the wall was built in his father's time, and the man who built that wall was still there, but he was now old man, and he know where he lived. You got it? Okay. And then the king sent out messenger to bring in the bricklayer who had built the wall. They brought him, tied hand and foot. Okay, now the king at once sent his messenger to bring the bricklayer. So bricklayer means the person who lay bricks. You got it? Okay, yes. And he was brought in, his hands and foot were tied. And then the king said, you there, did you build this man's wall in his father's time? Yes, my lord, I did. What kind of wall is this that you built? It has fallen on a poor man and killed him. You have murdered him. We have to punish you by death. Okay, and then he asked the man whether he had built this wall during his father's time, and he said that he had built. And then the king told him what kind of wall he had built. Since he had built a very poor wall, the wall had fallen on the thief and got killed. So that means the king told the bricklayer that he had murdered, and then he need to be punished by death. You got it? Okay, yes. Now, before the king could order the execution, the poor bricklayer pleaded, please listen to me before you give orders. It is true I built this wall, and it was no good, but that was because my mind was not on it. I remember very well a dancing girl who was going up and down that street all day with her anklet jingling, and I could not keep my eyes or my mind on the wall I was building. You must get that dancing girl. I know where she lives. You got it? So everybody is blaming the other. They come with different excuses. So what did the bricklayer say? The bricklayer said that, yes, I had built the wall, but it was not his fault. So he blamed that on the dancing girl. You got it? There was one dancing girl. She was also wearing an anklet. You know, the ladies, when they dance, they put on some instrument on their ankle, isn't it? And it makes sound. So he blamed that on the dancing girl. What happened to that dancing girl? The dancing girl was moving up and down the street whole day, and the person, that means the bricklayer who was working on which is that building wall, he got distracted because the dancing girl was moving here and there. We did not know why the dancing girl was moving up and down, but he blamed to the dancing girl. Okay, yes, he got distracted. So he told the king that it was the dancing girl who was responsible, and he also said that he knew where she lives. You got it? Okay, so that is just a blaming game. And the king was very foolish. So you see, okay, such thing can happen. Now let us read. You are right. The case deepens. We must look into it. It is not easy to judge such complicated cases. Let us get that dancer wherever she is. The dancing girl, now an old woman, came trembling to the court. You got it? So the king still could not identify, okay, what was the main problem. So the king said that, what should I say? Oh, it is such a complicated case. Actually, it was not just a complicated case. You got it? So since he was foolish, he think that he was dealing with a very complicated case, and he said that let us get that dancer. So the king, what should I say, called for the dancing girl. Now the dancing girl, she was no more a beautiful girl. She had become old woman, and now she came trembling to the court. Okay, yes. So let us see what happens. You have the dancing girl before the king. Did you walk up and down that street many years ago while this poor man was building a wall? Did you see him? Yes, my lord. I remember it very well. So you did walk up and down with your anklets jingling. You were young and you distracted him. So he built a bad wall. So the king asked whether she walked up and down during that time or not, and she confessed yes. Okay, and then the king blamed her. It is because of you that the bricklayer had built a bad wall. Okay, yes. Oh, and then because of the backward, it has fallen on the poor burglar and killed him. You have killed an innocent man. You will have to be punished. And the king said that because of you, the bricklayer had built a bad wall, and because of that bad wall, the wall fell on the poor burglar. You see, the poor burglar. So the burglar, it should not be pitied, isn't it? So he said that poor burglar and killed him. So you have killed an innocent man. So innocent man is a person who did not do anything. Now, do you think that thief is an innocent man? So the king, he could not identify because he was a foolish. Okay, so he said that you will have to be punished. So the king said that the dancing girl would be punished. Okay, now let us see. She thought for a minute and said, "My lord, wait. I know why I was walking up and down that street. I had given some gold to the goldsmith to make some jewelry for me. He was a lazy scoundrel. He made so many excuses, said he would give it now and he would give it then, and so on all day. He made me walk up and down to his house a dozen times." Okay, look at her. Now she just gave another excuse. She blamed it to who? Okay, he blamed it to the goldsmith. So what did she say? What did she say? She said that it was the goldsmith's fault. Why? Because she said that she had given some gold to the goldsmith to make some jewelry. But the goldsmith did not make, because he made so many excuses. So he said that he would give it now and he would give it then. So because of that, she had to walk up and down a dozen times. Dozen means 12. So that means she had to walk up and down dozen times. You got it? So that was when the bricklayer saw me. It is not my fault, my lord. It is the damn goldsmith's fault. So, since she had to walk up and down that street, the bricklayer saw her. She was beautiful, so the bricklayer got distracted. So, because of that, the the wall was not built properly. So, she blamed it on the goldsmith. You got it? So, the girl said that it was the goldsmith's fault. Okay, so everybody is blaming the other, and the poor, which is the king, he was foolish, so could not identify. So let us see. Poor thing, she's absolutely right, thought the king. Weighing the evidence, we've got the real culprit at last. Get the goldsmith wherever he is hiding at once. The what should you say? The king felt very sorry for the girl, and she said that, the king said that, oh, now we had already got the culprit. The culprit is the person who is the wrongdoer. So the king said that, okay, now they have already got the culprit. And who was the culprit? According to the king, it was the goldsmith. Okay, so the king ordered his man to bring the goldsmith wherever he was hiding. Okay, yes. Now let us see what would the goldsmith say? And maybe give another excuse. Okay, so it's very interesting. My lord, he said, I am a poor goldsmith. It is true I made this dancer come many times to my door. I gave her excuses because I could not finish making her jewelry before I finished the rich merchant's order. They had a wedding coming and they would not wait. You know how impatient rich men are. Okay, yes. So the goldsmith, he just came and he just blamed it to other person. To whom did he blame? He just blamed it to the merchant, the rich merchant, you know. So what happened? So when the girl gave her gold coin to make her jewelry, uh, a rich merchant had already given him a lot of work. So he was totally busy making the jewelry for the rich man because the rich man said that there was a wedding coming. So he could not postpone it. So you see, the rich, which is the goldsmith, he just blame it on the merchant. If the merchant had not forced him to do his work earlier, he might have finished the girl's jewelry, isn't it? So he also said that you know how impatient rich men are. You know, a rich man, do you think they want everything on the spot, isn't it? So do you think it is true? Okay, you just think, okay. So he just blame it on the rich merchant. You know the rich merchant, you remember? So it was the wall of the rich merchant which fell. Okay, now it come back to the merchant. Now let us see. Who is this rich merchant who kept you from finishing this poor woman's jewelry, made her walk up and down, which distracted his bricklayer, which made a mess of his wall, which has now fallen on an innocent man and killed him? Can you name him? So, what should I say? The king asked, what should I say? The goldsmith, what was the name of that, rich merchant who had, what should I say, built a poor wall. That poor wall fell on the, what should I say, the innocent man, killing the innocent man. So he just tried, what should I say, to trace all these things as if he was a very great king. Okay, yes. And now the goldsmith, what did he say? The goldsmith named the merchant, and he was none other than the original owner of the house whose wall had fallen. Now justice has come full circle, thought the king, back to the merchant. When he was rudely summoned back to the court, he arrived crying, "It wasn't me, my father, who ordered the jewelry. He is dead, I'm innocent." Okay, and now who was the rich merchant? The rich merchant was the original owner of the house whose wall had fallen and killed the thief, isn't it? And the king was very happy. Okay, now we have come to the full circle. Now we were able to, what should I say, solve all the problem. It everything depend upon the merchant. So he, what should you call, the merchant back to the court. Okay, and the merchant came crying. He was crying. And what did he say? "King, it wasn't me. It was my father who ordered the jewelry. Now he is dead. I'm innocent." He said that it was his father, not him. Okay, now his father had already passed, and so he was innocent. It had nothing to do with him. So that is what he told the king. And now let us see what the king said. But the king consulted his minister and ruled decisively. "It is true your father is the true murderer. He is dead, but somebody must be punished in his place. You have inherited everything from that criminal father of yours, his riches as well as sins. I knew at once, even when I first set eyes on you, that you were at the root of this horrible crime. You must die." Okay, the king now had a consultation with his minister and said, yes, it was true that, what should I say, the father was the murderer, but since the father was not there, he said that somebody must be punished in his place. And he also said that he had already inherited, okay, everything from his criminal father. Now, criminal father, the father is referred to as criminal because, according to the king, he had killed one innocent man. Who was that innocent man? the thief. Okay, yes. So he had already inherited riches and his sins. Okay, and then he said, the king also said, as if he was very, what should you say, intelligent. He said that I knew, okay, the first time I set an eye on you, that you were the root cause of all this horrible crime. He said that you were already the what you culprit. The king came to know right from the beginning. Okay, and he said that now he should be killed. He should be punished. Okay, now up to now, the merchant was to be punished. Let us see whether he gets punishment or not. Okay, and he ordered a new stake to be made ready for the execution. As the servant sharpened the stake and got it ready for the final impaling of the criminal, it occurred to the minister that the rich merchant was somehow too thin to be properly executed on the stake. He appealed to the king's common sense. The king too was worried about it. Okay, now, according to the king, the merchant was to be executed. Okay, yes. So, in order to execute it, the king ordered, okay, stake. So, stake is an instrument which is sharp. You got it? So, which is normally used at the time of execution. Okay, execution. So, killing, execution. As the servant sharpened the stake, now the servant were preparing the stake, okay, and it was finally ready for impaling the criminal. Impaling means we put that sharp weapon in the which is the criminal, and the person dies. You got it? So it occurred to the minister. The minister found that the rich merchant was somehow too thin. Now, sometimes people, which they say, there is some specific measurement. Okay. Now, they found that the merchant was too thin to be properly executed on the stake. So that was the problem. Even though they wanted to execute the merchant, now he was not fit. Actually, that person should be, what should I say, big enough to be, what should I say, put on the stake. Okay, so the minister appealed to the king, and the king was also worried because that merchant was too thin for this execution. Okay, so that was the problem. Now, do you have any idea what will happen? Okay, yes. Now let us see. What shall we do? He said, when suddenly it struck him that all they needed to do was to find a man fat enough to fit the stake. The servant were immediately sent all over the town looking out for a fat man who would fit the stake. Okay, so that was the problem. So the king, what did he say? He just told his minister, okay, now that since the rich merchant was very thin, so they wanted to find a replacement for him. So they sent his man to look for a man fat enough to fit the stake. You got it? So they were looking for fat people. Okay, yes. Now they look everywhere around the town. And do you have any idea what will happen? You remember that disciple, how he had become? He had become fat, just like a bull, because of his love for eating. Now let us see what happens. Okay, yes. Now their eyes fell on the disciple who had fattened himself for months on banana and rice and wheat and ghee. So when the servants were sad, suddenly their eyes fell on the disciple. Disciple, he had, which is become fat. Okay, yes. So let us see. What have I done wrong? I am innocent. I am a sannyasi, he cried. That may be true, but it is the royal decree that we should find a man fat enough to fit the stake, they said, and carried him to the place of execution. Okay, yes. So he was surprised, and he said that he was innocent and he was sannyasi. So the sannyasi is the people who, what should I say, go from one place to another, just like a priest. You got it? One who has already renounced the worldly possession, and he gets. And the servant, they did not do anything. So because they were already given the decree means order. So it was the king's order that they should find a man fat enough to feed the stake. So they just carried him to the place of execution. Okay, now he was to be executed. Now the teacher was not there. Let us see what happens. He remembered his wise guru's words. This is a city of fools. You don't know what they will do next. While he was waiting for death, he prayed to his guru in his heart, asking him to hear his cry wherever he was. The guru saw everything in a vision. He had a magic power. He could see far and he could see the future as he could see the present and the past. He arrived at once to save his disciple who had got himself into such a scrap through love of food. Okay, yes. Now, during that time, normally we say whenever you have got some problem, you remember, okay, someone who loves you, okay, like this. Now, he remembered his guru's word. What did Guru say? Guru said that it is the city of fools and you don't know what they will do next. Okay, so everything came true. So while he was waiting for his death, he just prayed to his guru, asking him to come and rescue him. Now you see the guru, he had got some magic power. He could see the present and future and past. As a good guru, as a good teacher, he came advance to save his, what should I say, student. You got it? Because he saw his student was in a problem because of his love of food. Okay, now as soon as he arrived, he scolded the disciple and told him something in a whisper. Then he went to the king and addressed him. O wisest of king, who is greater, the guru or the disciple? Okay, now as soon as the guru arrived there, he just scolded the disciple and at the same time he just said something in his ears, whispered. You got it? And then he went to the king. Now you see, the guru is a man of wisdom. He's very intelligent. He knows so many things. Now let us see what he does. He went to the king and said, O wisest of kings, who is greater, the guru or the disciple? He just asked the king who was the greater, whether it was the student or the guru. Okay, and then what did the king say? Of course, the guru, no doubt about it. What do you ask? Then put me to the stake first. Put the disciple to death after me. Now there must be some kind of, what should I say, a plan, maybe by the guru. Okay, and he said, okay, now since I am greater than my guru, and then you have to put me to the stake first. Why are you putting my student to the stake first? So you should put the teacher first and then the student. Okay, so that is what the guru said. Now let us see what happens, whether it is a trick or was there any, what should I say, meaning in it. Okay, yes.